بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد. In this lesson we're going to begin الدرس الخامس, the fifth lesson. We're not going to be reading the passage because there's a lot to explain inshallah. So we're going to spend this lesson explaining the main concepts, and then next lesson we're going to read the passage inshallah. So the main concept in this lesson has already been explained. The basics has already been explained, but now we're going to cover any exceptions. The lesson is going to focus on constructing the fi'l al-madi and the fi'l al-mudari al-mabni al-majhul, which we have already understood and know how to construct it on a basic level. But we're going to learn how to construct it when it involves huruf illa, like the ajwaf, the Narcas, and likewise when it involves tad'if. We're also going to learn the ismul fa'il and the ismul maf'ul with these types of verbs, the ajwaf, the Narcas, as well as the muda'af, inshallah. So what we are going to be explaining is something that we should already have an understanding of, a basic understanding of, and anything different, inshallah, we are going to explain, bi'idhnillah al-kareem. So let's begin with the ajwaf. So let's start with the ajwaf. We're going to start with the ajwaf, and the ajwaf is the verb where the aynul kalima is a harf illa. The aynul kalima is a harf illa, like qala, ba'a, khafa, haba. So all of these verbs are classed as ajwaf. Why? Because the aynul kalima is a harf illa. The aynul kalima is a harf illa. So this is what we want to learn, how to change these ones into the Madi, al-mabni al-majhul, and the Mudari, mabni al-majhul. Also how to get to the ismul fa'il from these and to get the ismul maf'ul from these. So these are the exceptions. Firstly, with the alif in these verbs, and you can see all of them have alif, they're always going to have alif and they're going to look like this. But originally this alif was not there. The alif that's here was originally a waw or ya. How do I know if it was a waw or ya? I have to go to the Mudari. So the Mudari of this is yaqulu. The Mudari of this is yabi'u. The Mudari of this is yakhafu. The Mudari of this is yahabu. Okay, so we have the Mudari. What next? When we go to the Mudari and we see that the aynul kalima is a waw, and we see that the aynul kalima was a ya, this already is an indication that the aynul kalima in the Madi was a waw for this one, and this is an indication that the aynul kalima was a ya for this one. So this was usually qaf, this was originally qaf, waw, lam, and this was originally ba, ya, ayn. Ba, ya, ayn. Okay, I don't want to put the harakat because it could either be fa'ala or fa'ila, so I'm not going to put the fatha or kasra yet. All I want to know is this alif, was it a waw or ya originally? So if we go to the Mudari and we see that the aynul kalima has changed into a waw, we know that the aynul kalima in the Madi was a waw. If we see in the Mudari the aynul kalima is a ya, we know that the aynul kalima in the Madi was a ya. Okay, so that's these two, very easy. But for these two, we've taken it to the Mudari, we have not seen waw or ya. Still the alif appears in the Mudari. With these two, we have to go an extra step to discover the aynul kalima in the Madi, to find out what the aynul kalima is. Because it hasn't appeared in the Mudari, we have to now go to the masdar. So the verbal nouns for these two, we have to trace the verbal noun for these two, and there we're going to see the root of this alif. Khafa yakhafu is taken from khawf. Khawf means fear. So khawf, the waw has appeared. This indicates to me that the alif in the Madi and the Mudari also was originally a waw. So I'm going to write this here. Kha, waw, and fa. So we know that fa'ul kalima and the lamul kalima are going to be the same. In the Madi is always going to be the same. The thing that changes is the ayn. Ayn can have a fatha or kasra dhamma, like fa'ala, fa'ila, fa'ula. Okay, so I'm not putting the haraka just yet. I'm just tracing the origin of the alif. So I've traced the origin of the alif for khafa yakhafu. I know it's khawf because in the masdar the waw appears. With this one, haba yahabu, in the masdar we have ya appearing. Hayba. Hayba is awe. So we know that the alif in the Madi and the Mudari was originally a ya. So I've traced the root of the alif for haba yahabu, and I've discovered that it is a ya. Alhamdulillah. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 now is to find out if it's a fatha on this ainul kalima or a kasra, because those are the two options. Those are the only two options. We don't have fa'ula for the ajwaf. There's only one verb, which is tawula. Tawula is the only exception. Other than tawula, you're only going to go back to fa'ala or fa'ila. So how do I know if it's fa'ala or fa'ila? The same way we mentioned that we need to go to the Mudari to discover the root letter, we do the same thing here. So if we go to the Mudari and we see either waw or ya appearing in the Mudari, this is an indication that this is on fa'ala. If the ajwaf is taken to the Mudari and you see waw or ya appearing on the ainul kalima, this is an indication that this is on fa'ala. So we've done that for these two. We've seen waw and ya appearing, so we know for both of these they are on fa'ala. So we can say now qawala and baya'a. So what happens if we don't see waw and ya? With these two, we don't see waw and ya appearing in the Mudari. So what happens here? If we take it to the Mudari and we don't see waw and ya, then it's going to be the other option, which is fa'ila. So for these two, we took it to the Mudari, we didn't see waw or ya, we saw alif. In this case, this is on fa'ila. And I believe we've explained this already, but this is just a recap. And we need this once again because the fi'l al-madi al-mabni al-majhul, and likewise the mudari mabni al-majhul, is going to be taken from the root verb where the waw is there. We're not going to be taking it from qala ba'a. So we need to trace the alif back to its origin, to its root. Hence why we needed to go back to qawala, baya'a, khawafa, khawifa, and hayyiba. Okay. Now let's apply the rules now. Now we're going to construct the fi'l madi mabni al-majhul. Mabni al-majhul root, inshallah, the rules are the same. So we make the first letter take a dhamma. So it's going to be quwi, and the second last letter take a kasra, quwila. Okay. So we have quwila, and then we have buyi'a. Exactly the same rules as we've mentioned for the rest of them. And we have khuwifa, and we have huyiba. Huyiba. So that's where we're going to start from. That's our starting point. The next rule, and this is something which is from the exceptions now. This is where the new lesson starts. So this, we've already understood this, how to get this from previous lessons. Now the second rule is going to start here now. This is new. What we're explaining now is new. This rule states that the ainul kalima, the kasra on the ainul kalima, is going to be transferred to the fa'ul kalima after removing the dhamma. So we remove the dhamma. Step 2, remove the dhamma and transfer the kasra onto the fa'ul kalima from the ainul kalima. So let's do that. Remove, transfer. Remove dhamma, transfer. Remove the dhamma, transfer the kasra. Remove the dhamma, transfer the kasra. And we end up with qiyula. Right? It's going to be qiyul. This is after transferring, this is sakin, it has nothing. Qiyula. And then we have bi'a. And then we have khiyufa, actually. Khiyufa. And then we have hiba. طيب. And then step 3. Step 3, for the ones that have waw, so these two, this one bi'a, the one that has a ya, and this one hiba, the one that has a ya, this is our final results. We stop here. There's nothing else needed. bi'a, hiba. We've constructed the fi'l al-madi al-mabni al-majhul for these two. These two are correct. These two are finished. That's the finished result. But for these two, look how difficult it is to pronounce. Qiyawla, khiyawfa. Because of that difficulty, what happens is the waw is going to be changed to a letter suitable to the kasra. So it becomes a ya. That's the most suitable letter for the kasra. So it changes into a ya, and this waw changes into a ya likewise. So it becomes qila. And this becomes khifa. So there's an extra step for the ones that have a waw. Okay, so this is how we get the fi'l al-madi al-mabni al-majhul. The fi'l al-madi al-mabni al-majhul, this is how we get it. So the main thing was to try and trace back the root of the alif, which we have done, alhamdulillah. And this was explained previously as well. We've recapped it once again. We trace back the root of the alif by going to the Mudari. If we don't see it in the Mudari, we go to the Masdar. We trace back the haraka of the Ayn al-Kalima by going to the Mudari. If we see waw or ya, it's fa'ala. If we don't see waw or ya, it's fa'ila. We don't really need to know this, the haraka, because once we put it on fu'ila, the haraka is irrelevant. Okay, but we've explained that anyways. So we have this now. Once we have this, we have uwila, buyi'a, khuwifa, huyiba. What happens next is we do naql of the kasra to the fa'ul kalima after removing the dhamma from the fa'ul kalima. And then that's the next step. And then we have an extra step for the ones that have waw by changing the waw into a ya to make it suitable to pronounce. It's easier to say qila than to say qiwla. Easier to say khifa than to say khiyufa. And this is how we get the madi. As for the mudari', then let's start with the mudari' also from the root. So yaqulu, this is the end result after we've applied some changes. Yabi'u, I have yakhafu, I have yahabu. طيب. So these are the mudari'. These are the ones that we use. The mabni lil ma'lum, yaqulu, yabi'u, yakhafu, yahabu. Okay. I want to go back to the root of this. And explain how we ended up with this. With yaqulu, it was originally yaqwulu, yaf'ulu. Fa'ala, because qala yaqulu is on the scale of fa'ala yaf'ulu. Yaqwulu. And while I'm explaining this, inshallah, you understand some of the rules of sarf. Yaqwulu. So this yaqulu was originally yaqwulu. What happened? The harf illa here is waw. It has a haraka, it has a vowel. Whereas the haraka before it is not harf illa, it's a harf sahih. So we can categorize the letters in the Arabic language into two categories. Harf sahih is every letter other than alif, waw, and ya. And harf illa is alif, waw, and ya. Harf illa, alif, waw, and ya, these ones are weak. They're considered to be weak. Whereas harf sahih are considered to be strong. So they've said here, in explaining the theory behind this, they've said the harf illa is carrying a vowel letter and it's a weak letter. So it's only suitable that we give this dhamma to the strong letter before it. That's what's going to carry the vowel, because the vowel is something which is weighty. Rather than give it to the weak one, we give it to the strong one. So after transferring, it becomes yaqulu. Okay. After transferring, it becomes yaqulu. طيب. And the same for this. Yab'i'u. So we have yabi'u. The weak letter is carrying a haraka. And the strong letter, the harf sahih, before it is not carrying anything. So it's only fair that we give this to the letter before it. Hence it becomes yabi'u. This one originally was fa'ila yaf'alu, khawifa yakhwafu. This one, it was originally yakhwafu. Okay, and then let's explain these two together. Hayiba yahyabu was originally fa'ila yaf'alu, يهيب. Okay. Once again, what do we have? We have a harf illa carrying a haraka. Harf sahih is vowelless. Which one is worthy of carrying the haraka? The strong one or the weak one? The strong one. So we transfer. So it becomes yakhawfu. It becomes yakhawfu after transferring. Okay, here there's an extra step now. So we don't have yakhafu just yet. How did we end up from yakhwafu to yakhafu? Do you remember what we said concerning the harf illa here? Or we didn't explain it. Allah musta'an, I forgot to explain it here. So this was originally qawala baya'a khawifa hayba. Why did it become qala ba'a khafa haba? That's the question. I believe I explained it before, but let me just reiterate it now here. Qawala became qala, baya'a became ba'a, khawifa became khafa, hayba became haba, because one rule. There's a rule which combines all of them turning into an alif, the harf illa and all of them turning into alif. That rule is, if we have a harf illa, there's two conditions. Harf illa must be mutaharrik. We have a harf illa which is mutaharrik. Harf illa which is voweled. Here the harf illa is voweled with the fatha, voweled with the fatha, voweled with the kasra, voweled with the kasra. So that's the first condition met. We have to have a harf illa that's voweled. The second condition is the letter before the harf illa has to have a fatha. It has to be voweled with a fatha, specifically a fatha. Fatha, 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 fatha. The harf illa can be voweled with anything. Yeah, the first condition, the vowel doesn't matter. It can be anything. So long as it has a vowel, it could be fatha, dhamma, kasra. But the second condition, the vowel has to be a fatha. So those are the two conditions. What happens when these two conditions are met? The harf illa is changed into an alif. So it becomes qala, it becomes ba'a, it becomes khafa, it becomes haba. Okay, I hope you understood that rule. The rule is, if the harf illa is voweled, that's condition one. The second, if the harf before the harf illa has a fatha, and these two conditions are met, the harf illa is changed into an alif. Okay, so let's go back to here now, since we've explained that now. Is that rule applied here? Look at this. Is that rule applied? Is the harf illa voweled? It's not voweled. So the first condition is missing. However, the second condition is fulfilled because the harf before it has a fatha. So here we have the second condition, but the first condition is missing. But we have the second condition is fulfilled. And here we have the first condition, the harf illa being vowed, is fulfilled. But the second condition is not fulfilled. So these are two separate words. But what they've done is they've said we can apply this rule by looking at the two conditions being met in these two separate words together. So they've brought these two words together and they've looked whether those two conditions have been applied by looking at the two words at the same time. So they've said, okay, yes, the rule is met. Why? Because here we have the harf illa is mutaharrik, and here we have the harf before it, it has a fatha. So the rule is applied. So if the rule is applied, what do we do now? The alif comes. The waw is changed into an alif. So hence, that's why it became yakhafu. Why did it become yakhafu, the alif? Why did the waw change into alif? Because that rule was applied. But the rule was not applied in one word, but it was applied by looking at two separate words together. Hence, the waw is changed into an alif and it becomes yakhafu. As for yahabu, then they've said, once again, the harf illa has a haraka. The harf sahih does not have a haraka. So that is more worthy of holding the haraka, so it's transferred. After transferring, it becomes yahyabu, yahyabu. And then once again, we look at the rules being fulfilled by looking at these two words together at the same time. The harf illa has a haraka, and the harf illa here has a haraka. Naam. So condition one is met here, and then yahaybu. After transferring, it becomes yahaybu, and condition two has been met here. So we have yahyabu and yahaybu after transfer. So the two conditions have been met. So the ya becomes an alif, yahabu. طيب. So that's how we got yahabu, yakhafu. This is to explain how we end up with the fi'l al-ma'loom. So it's important that we know how to construct the fi'l ma'loom before we even go to the fi'l majhul. So we know now, alhamdulillah, how we got from yaf'ulu, yaf'ilu, yaf'alu, yaf'alu to yahabu, yakhafu, yabi'u, yaqulu. Okay. When it comes to constructing the fi'l mabni majhul, what we have to do is we have to bring the harf al-mudara. So yuqwalu. This is what we've learned so far. We know how to do this. Yuqwalu, yubi'u, yukhwafu, and yuhyabu. I'll put yuhyabu here. Okay, this is step 1, right? Step 1, we already understand how to do this, inshallah. We give the harf al-mudari dhamma and the second last letter fatha. Yuqwalu, yubi'u, yukhwafu, yuhyabu. طيب. Then what we do is we applied the rule that we just explained here. Look at the harf illa. It's got a haraka. The harf illa has a haraka. The harf sahih before it is sakin. Which one is more worthy of carrying the haraka? The weak letter or the strong letter? The strong letter. So we transfer. That's step 1, transfer. Okay, not step 1. Actually, step 1 is to put it on the scale. So let's say transfer is step 2. Transfer haraka from aynul kalima. So write that as step 2. So after transferring, we have yuqawlu. After transferring, we have yubay'u. After transferring, we have yukhawfu. After transferring, we have yuhaybu. طيب. That's step 2 applied now. We've transferred the haraka from the aynul kalima to the fa'ul kalima, and we have ended up with yuqawlu, yubay'u, yukhawfu, yuhaybu. Okay, step 3 now is what we mentioned. What happened here? You see here? What happened here? We looked at the origin, and after transfer from these two, we applied that rule. If the harf illa is mutaharrik, the letter before has a fatha, the harf illa is transferred or changed into an alif. So we applied that rule here by looking at this and looking at before the transfer. After transfer, before transfer, we combine the two. So before transfer, the harf illa had a haraka. After transfer, the harf sahih before it had a fatha. The rules for turning into alif are applied by looking at these two together. So you're considering these two as one word. So the rule is applied by joining these two, by looking at these two together. If you look at this separately, the rule is not applied. You can't change anything. If you look at this separately, the rule is not applied. You can't change anything. But if you look at them together, you can apply the rule. Yes, the harf illa is mutaharrik. Yes, the letter before it has a fatha. Okay, alhamdulillah, the two rules have been applied. We need to change the waw into an alif. And that's the same thing that you do for all of them. So this is going to become yuqalu. And the same thing if you apply yuba'u. And the same thing here, yukhafu. And the same thing here, yuhabu. Alhamdulillah. That's the fi'l al-mudari al-mabni al-majhul. So the final two things is ismul fa'il. Okay, ismul fa'il, we put it on the scale of fa'ilun. So let's put on the fa'ilun. If we put qawala, remember you have to go back to the root. That's why alhamdulillah we started with the root. Knowing the root is important, because when we do it here we're going to go back to the root, original root. So for qawala, if you put it on this, it's going to be qawilun. Bay'a, bayi'un. Okay, and then khawifa, khawifun. And then the last one, hayibun. Okay, those are the origins. This is how it's meant to look originally. Now we learn a new rule. The rule is, if there's a harf illa that comes after alif, additional alif, there's an additional alif here, additional alif. So they've mentioned here that the harf illa that's here is going to be changed into an hamza. The harf illa changes into hamza. So it's going to remain the same, except that the harf illa is changed into hamza with a kasra. Qa'ilun. And it's written like this. Okay. Qa'ilun, ba'i'un, kha'ifun, ha'ibun. Okay, this is the only rule for the ismul fa'il. So let's move on to ismul maf'ul. Let's start from step 1. Step 1, we have to put it on the maf'ul pattern if it's thulathi, right? So we say maqwul, maqwulun, maf'ulun, mabyu'un, maf'ulun, makhwufun, maf'ulun, mahyubun, maf'ulun. So this is where we start from, right? We take it from the root. The root is that we put it on the scale. Okay, now there's going to be some extra steps. This is why this lesson is important, because it's teaching you how to apply the changes with regards to the ajwaf, the Narcas, and the Mudaf. So what happens now? So here we have that rule once again. The rule where the harf illa has a haraka and the harf before it has a sukun. Which one is more worthy of carrying the haraka? The weak letter or the strong letter? The strong letter. So once again, we do naql, transfer haraka from aynul kalima to lam, to fa, to fa'ul kalima. From ain to fa. After transferring, we end up with maqu. So this has been transferred. So we have maqu and then 2 vowels, maqulun. And then we have mabu'un. And then we have makhufun. And then we have mahubun. Okay, what do we have here? Here we have iltiqa'u sakinain, meeting of 2 sukuns. These 2 are sakin. The 2 vowels are sakin. Can you see? I don't know why I wrote yeah. Why did I write wow? It's supposed to be yeah. Sorry, yeah. So we have 2, and this one is yeah. I don't know why I wrote 2 vowels. Allah stand. I need to concentrate. So anyways, even if it's a wow or yeah, we have 2 sukuns. 2 sukuns. The yeah, wow. The wow, the yeah, wow. We have 2 sukuns meeting one after the other. Is this something which the Arabs allow? Do they permit this? They don't permit this. Okay, so what happens here is we have to remove the first of the 2 sakin letters to avoid iltiqa sakinin. So we remove the first of the 2. Okay, so that's step 3. Step 3 is, once we've transferred, there's iltiqa sakinin. So remove first of the 2 sakin letters. So we've removed the first of the 2 sakin letters. Now we have maqulun, mabu'un, makhufun, mahubun. Okay, what they've said now is the ones where we've removed a ya, the ones that we've removed a ya, this one and this one. These 2 we've removed ya, and there's no sign that we've removed a ya. Usually when you remove something, you leave a sign, indication for that which was removed. Here we removed the ya, there's no sign. Here after removing the waw, we have a dhamma. Here we've removed the waw, we have a dhamma. That dhamma acts as an indication that the waw was removed. There was a waw removed. But for this one, there's no indication that there was a ya that was removed. So what they've said is we have to change the ba here and the ha here, the letter before the ya that was removed, into a kasra. So this is step 4. This step 4 is for the ones that have a ya, where the ainul kalima or the one that was removed was a ya. We have to change kasra, change lam, change fa to kasra, change fa'ul kalima to kasra. Okay, you can write it more neatly, inshallah. This is a bit messy right now, I understand, but inshallah you can word it out and plan it out better in your page and make it more neater. So step 4 is only for the ones that where we've removed a ya. We've removed a ya and we have a dhamma. Why are we changing the fa'ul kalima to a kasra? To act as an indication that there was a ya removed. So that's step 4. It becomes ma bi'un. It becomes like this: ma bi'un and mahiu bun. Mabi'un mahibun. Remember what we said regarding this one, qawla and khiufa. What did we do here? We changed the waw. What did we change into the waw? Into a ya. Why? To make it more suitable for the kasra. So here we've changed the into a kasra, but we still have a difficulty in pronunciation. So we have to go an extra step. There's a 5th step now. So there's 2 extra steps. Changing the fa'al kalima into a kasra as an indication that there was a ya that was removed. And then once we've changed it into a kasra, still there's a impediment when it comes to pronunciation, difficulty. So we have to change the waw into a ya. We change the waw, change waw to ya. That's step 5, and that's the final rule. So it becomes mabi'un. Much easier than saying mabi'un. So it becomes mabi'un, and this becomes mahibun. So let me summarize once again. Ismul maf'ul. So we go from the roots. For the thulathi, we put it on the scale of maf'ulun. So we've done that. Maf'ulun, maqwulun, mabi'un, makhwufun, mahyubun. That's the origin. Step 2 says the harf illa that has a haraka preceded by a harf sahih which does not have a haraka. In this case, we have to do naql. We have to transfer the haraka because the one that's strong is more worthy of carrying the load. So we've done that. So we've transferred the harf, the haraka to the harf sahih before it, from the ayn al-kalima to the fa'al kalima. After doing that, step 3, we found that there is iltiqa' sakinain between the ya and the waw, and the waw and the waw. There's going to be iltiqa' sakin between ya and waw and waw. What we do is we have to remove the first of the 2 letters which have sukoon. To avoid iltiqa' sakin, we remove and omit the first of the 2. We've omitted here the waw, we've omitted the ya, we've omitted the waw, we've omitted the ya. The ones where you've omitted the waw, you can stop here. Nothing else is required from you. You're done. However, the ones where you've omitted the ya, there's 2 extra steps. The 2 extra steps are, firstly, you have to change the dhamma before the omitted ya into a kasra. Why? As an indication of the omitted ya. That's the extra step, number 1. And the second extra step is after you've changed it, there's difficulty now because pronouncing a kasra on a waw sakin is very difficult. So we have to change the waw into a ya, and then we end up with mabi'un, mahibun. So for the ones that have ya, we have 5 steps. On the ones that have waw, we have 3 steps. Okay, write these steps out neatly, understand them, and revise them bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, because these are going to come in the lesson. If you've understood them, alhamdulillah. Now we're going to move on to the Narcas. We're going to explain the Narcas as well in the same way, where we go from the Madi to the Mudari, Ism al-Fa'il and Ism al-Maf'ul, and reflect over the changes and explain the changes, inshallah. So the Narcas, once again, Naqisun is the verb where the lamul kalima, fa, ayn, lam, the lamul kalima is a harf illa, alif, waw, or ya. طيب, so this is the Narcas verb. Examples of Narcas verbs. We have رخوة, we have رضية, we have دعا, and we have رمى. So you can see the lamul kalima, waw, ya, alif, and the alif here I've chosen two examples, one where it's written like this and one which is written like this, but to demonstrate the fact that this alif goes back to a waw and this alif goes back to a ya. And this is something which is special for the thulathi, the Madi only. You differentiate between the alif which goes back to a waw by writing it long like this, and the alif which was originally a ya by writing like this. And remember, this is only in the Madi. Post Madi, even in the Mudari, when you go to the Mudari, it's always going to be written like this. So you never find this. Whether it was a waw or ya, it's always going to be written like this. The ya here and the waw here are present. They have not been changed into alif because though one condition has been met, the second condition has not been met. The first condition was the harf al-illah has to be vowed. It's vowed, it's vowed. The second condition, the letter preceding the harf illah has to have a fatha. Here's radiya, it doesn't have a fatha. Here is rakhuwa, it doesn't have a fatha. Hence, the harf illah remains in contrast to these two. Da'a was originally da'awa, da'awa, and rama was originally ramaya. You see, the two conditions have been met, hence why the alif or the ya and the waw have been changed into an alif. But this one is changed into an alif written like this, and this one is changed into an alif that's written like this. Okay, I hope you've understood those two rules again. Once again, the harf illah has to be vowed, preceded by fatha. Harf illah is vowed, preceded by fatha, changed into an alif. But in the thulathi, you have to remember that the alif, if it was originally a waw, you have to write it like this. Only in the thulathi Madi, only. Everywhere else, the alif is going to be written like this, whether it was a Madi or no, whether it was a waw or ya. Okay, whether it was a waw or ya and it's a naqis, it's going to be written like this. طيب. Okay, so to get the mabni lil majhul for the Madi, we just apply the rules and we say, for this one, for example, we'd say ruhiya, fu'ila. Give the first letter a dhamma, second last a kasra for Madi. Ruhiya, rudiya. Remember, we have to go back to the asl. So it was du'iwa. Okay, du'iwa. طيب. And rumiya. And rumiya. Okay. Everything else is good, is done. That's the final result, except this one. Du'iwa, if ever we see that there's a naqis where it ends with a waw and the letter before it has a kasra, this is problematic in terms of pronunciation. So what they've done here is they're going to change the waw into a ya. Why is the waw changed into a ya? Because it's easier to pronounce. That's the most suitable letter for the kasra. So it becomes du'iya. Du'iya. It becomes du'iya. Okay, so that's the only change. As for the mudari', we'll use yad'u. We use yarmi as examples, and we'll use yarda. طيب, okay, these are three examples we're going to use for the mudari'. These are the final results. However, it wasn't originally like this. This was, prior to becoming like this, it was yad'u, fa'ala yaf'ulu, da'awa yad'u, yaf'ulu, yad'u. So it was originally like this. How did it end up like this? They said that the dhamma on the waw is difficult to pronounce. Dhamma on waw is difficult to pronounce, so we omit it. Once we omit it, the waw is sakin, so it's yad'u. And this one was originally yarmiyu. Dhamma on the ya is difficult, so we omit it. Once we omit it, the ya is sakin, hence yarmi. So yad'u was originally yad'u, yarmi was originally yarmiyu. The dhamma on the ya and the dhamma on the wa were omitted because it's difficult to pronounce. As for yarda, then it was originally yardayu. Here we apply that principle. Harf al-illah has a haraka. The letter preceding it has a fatha. So what happens? It gets changed into an alif. How is the alif written? It's going to be written like this in all cases. When you write it like this, it's only in the Madi. Only in the Madi. This is Mudari now, so it's always going to be written like this. Whether it was originally a waw or ya, you don't give any consideration to the asl. You just write it like this. So yarda. Yardayu became yarda based on that rule. Okay, so we wanted to get to the asl so that we can apply the rules for the mabni lil majhul for the Mudari. So you were working with yad'u. So with yad'u, we have to give the first letter a dhamma. Okay. Yud, a, wu. Yuf'alu, right? Yuf'alu. Yarmi would be yur, mayu. Yardayu would be yur, dayu. Okay. Here, yud'awu, what happens is the harf al-illa is mutaharrik, right? The letter before it has a fatha. So the same thing that happened here. Harf al-illa, mutaharrik. The letter before it has a fatha. The two conditions are met. So the harf al-illa is turned into an alif. Because this is not Madi, this is Mudari, the harf al-illa is going to be written like this. Even if it's originally a waw, it's going to be written like this. Okay. So we say yud'a. Yud'a. طيب, that's done. All we did was apply that one rule. Harf illa mutaharrik preceded by fatha, change into alif. The alif is there. Yurmayu. Likewise, we do the same thing here. Harf illa mutaharrik preceded by a fatha. We say yurma. Likewise here, harf illa mutaharrik preceded by fatha. We say yurda. Okay, so that's the Madi and the Mudari for Mabni Majhul. Now let's see with the manqus how we construct the Ismul Fa'il. So we'll work with these three examples. So with the Thulathi, we put it on the scale of Fa'ilun, Da'i'un, and we have Ra'miyun, and we have Radiyun. Okay. With da'i'un, what happens to this one is the same thing that happens to this one here. Because there's a waw and the end. The rule states that if the waw occurs at the taraf, at the end, and is preceded by a kasra, the waw gets changed into a ya. So that's the first thing that we need to do. Da'i'un is difficult. So we say da'iyun. So let's change that. And we have da'iyun, and then we have ramiyun, radiyun. Okay, let's work with this now. So it's going to be the same process for all of them. Then the next process is the dhamma. The dhamma, because here remember tanween is two double vowels. One of them is dhamma, the second is a noun sakina. This is, for example, if it was ba, we'll say bo, n. But rather than write that noun, we just double whatever's there. So ba, ban. This is the same as saying ban, ban, ban. This noun is not written. We represent it by adding an extra fatha, adding an extra kasra, adding extra dhamma. So if I was to write this word out, ra miyun. Ramiyun is the same as in ramiyun. So what happens is the dhamma on the ya is difficult. We have to remove it. And we explained this with the manqus nouns. Basically, these are manqus nouns. Manqus nouns is the ism which has a ya lazima preceded by kasra. These are the manqus nouns. Ismul fa'il is a noun. For Narcas, it's going to be from the manqus. So the rules that we explained for the manqus, we remove the dhamma from the ya because it's difficult to pronounce. Once we've removed the dhamma from the ya, we see that there's going to be iltiqa sakinain, the ya and the noon of tanween. I have to write it out like this for demonstration purposes, but it's not going to be written like this. So I want to show you that there's iltiqa sakinain. Because there's iltiqa sakinain, we remove the ya. We remove the ya. So step 1, remove the dhamma. Step 1, remove the dhamma on the ya because it's thaqil, it's heavy to pronounce. Once you've removed, there's iltiqa sakinain. Step 2, remove the ya. Step 2, remove the ya. Once you remove the ya, how do you represent the tanween? The tanween is just doubling whatever last vowel there is. So the last vowel on this word is ra, mi. I want to represent that tanween, so I just add a extra kasra. So I would say ra, min. And the same for this. Ra, din. And the same for this. Da, in. And then remember, if the tanween is removed, the ya comes back, because there is no istiqa sakin. The reason why the ya was removed is because the tanween is there. But if the tanween is removed, the ya comes back. How do we remove the noun of tanween? We remove the noun of tanween by adding al. Remember, one of the ways of removing tanween is to add al. So if we say adda, it will be adda'i. We don't say adda'in, because the ya comes back because the tanween is no longer there. Likewise, we can remove the tanween by making the word mudaf. If we make it mudaf, it will be da'i. Making mudaf to something, da'i Makkah, for example, the da'i of Makkah, da'i Makkah. طيب. Okay, so that's the ismul fa'il. Now the final one is ismul maf'ul. The ismul maf'ul for the manqus, we are going inshallah to use the same examples. So we have to place it on the scale of maf'ul. So we have mad'u'un, maf'ulun, and we have marmuyun for rama, and we have marduyun. Okay, for this one here we have two letters of the same kind. The first one is sakin and the second one is mutaharrik. We have to do idgham. It's wajib to do idgham in this case. Whenever you have two letters of the same kind, the first one is sakin, the second one is mutaharrik, it has a vowel, you merge the two together and it becomes a shadda. So this is going to be mad'uun becomes mad'uun. So that's what's going to happen with the wawi. The wawi, when you put it on the ism maf'ul, it's going to merge together. The shadda is going to be formed, and it's going to be mad'uun. Mad'uun. For every one that has a waw, the wawi, naqis wawi, if you put it in ism maf'ul, you do shadda, mad'uun. For these two now, there is no waw, the ya'i ones. What happens is there's a rule. There's a rule which states that whenever there is waw and ya coming next to each other, and the first of the two is sakin, it doesn't matter which order it is. It could be ya first or waw first. Like for example, this word here, look, say with, saywidun. So the rule says that whenever there is waw and ya next to each other, whether the waw comes first or the ya comes first, and the first one is sakin, whether it's waw or ya, the first of the two letters, the first of these two letters, so waw and ya following one another, whether it's the ya first or the waw first, it doesn't matter. But the first of them has to be sakin. Whichever comes first has to be sakin. So we have those two conditions met in these two words, in these three words actually. Marduyun. طيب. Once again, this is a new rule, so I explain it more than once. We have waw and ya following one another, irregardless of the order. Ya can come first or waw can come first. That's number one. Condition number one is met. Condition number two, the first of these two letters has to be sakin. Is it sakin? Sakin, sakin. Okay. What happens if these two conditions are met? If these two conditions are met, the waw, whether it's first or second, the waw is going to be turned into a ya. The waw changes into a ya. We change the waw into a ya. So this waw is going to change into a ya, and then this waw is going to change into a ya, this waw is going to change into a ya. Then we apply this rule here. This rule said if we have two letters of the same kind, the first one is sakin, the second is mutaharrik, we have to merge. So now we have two yas. After changing the waw into a ya, we have two yas. So we have to now merge. So this is going to become, for this one is going to become marmuyun. This is going to become marmuyun. This is going to become sayyidun. We're not discussing this. This is not ismul maf'ul. I just wanted to show you the rule that it doesn't matter of the order. We apply the same rules even if the ya comes first, the waw comes first. So this is not our focus. So here we have marmuyun and we have marduyun. How did we end up here? We ended up here by applying that rule, which has two conditions. First condition, waw, ya following one another. Second condition, the first of these letters is sakin. What happens? Once these two are met, we have to change the waw wherever it is. If it's first or second, wherever it is, we look for the waw and we change that waw into a ya. Once we've changed it, we have to merge because the rule of idgham, merging applies. So we have to do idgham. Once we've made idgham, we end up with a shadda and we are here now. Marmuyun and marduyun. So you can clearly hear there's some difficulty in pronouncing these words. Marmuyun, marduyun. And that's because of this dhamma. So what we're going to do with this dhamma, we're going to get rid of the dhamma and change it for a kasra. And that's the final process. So it becomes marmiyun, mardiyun. So let's recap now. If the naqis is wawi, all we do in the ism al-maf'ul is merge. That's all we do. If the naqis is ya'i, there's two steps. The first step is to apply that rule, the qaida, which states that whenever waw and ya follow one another and the first of them is sakin, we have to change the waw into a ya and then we have to do idgham. That's the first rule. Once we've done idgham, we end up with a word that's difficult to pronounce because of dhamma. Then we change the dhamma into a kasra. That's process or step number 2. And we end up with marmiyun and marduyun. So this is the ism fa'il and the ism al-maf'ul for the naqis, and this is the madi and the mudari for the mabni al-majhul. We're left with the muda'af, and we're going to explain that now. طيب, as for the muda'af, al-muda'af. Al-muda'af. What is muda'af? Muda'af simply is where the ayn al-kalima and the lam al-kalima same letter. The same letter which appears here is the same letter that appears here. Like ma, da, da. Like fa, ra, ra. Like ma, si, sa. So ayn kalima, lam al-kalima, same kind. Ayn kalima, lam al-kalima, same kind. Ayn kalima, lam al-kalima, same kind. Okay. So what happens when they are the same kind? They merge. We have to merge them. So this is madada, farara, masisa. The rule says that you have to merge the two. How do you merge? You can't merge if both of them are mutaharrik. So we have to get rid of this. This one we get rid of that haraka. We have to get rid of that haraka. We get rid of this haraka. The first one has to be sakin in order for merging to occur. So we have to get rid of this, we have to get rid of this, we have to get rid of this. Then we are now able to merge. So it becomes madda. This becomes farra. This becomes massa. Okay. So this is the muda'af, al-thulathi, the three-lettered muda'af. Remember there's muda'af ruba'i. We're not going to discuss that because there's not much change that takes place with that one. So if you was given madda, farra, massa, how do you know if this was madada and not madida? How do you know this is farara and not farira? How do you know this is masisa and not masasa? How do you know if it goes back to fa'ala or fa'ila? Because that's what you're going to go back to. We don't have fa'ula in this case. It's either fa'ala or fa'ila. How do you know if it's fa'ala or fa'ila? Because in this case, you can't really tell. It looks exactly the same. Massa is the same as these two, although this is fa'ila. I've given you masisa, I've told you it's masisa, but how would you identify if you was given something else like shadda, like karra, and so on? How would you know if it was fa'ala or fa'ila? The rule says that if you go to the Mudari, once again, you have to go to the Mudari. So you go to the Mudari. You have to go to the Mudari. Madda is on yamuddu. This is something that you need to know. Yani you would memorize it, or you go back to the dictionary. Yamuddu. Farra is yafirru. Yafirru, no, kasra. Massa is yamassu. Okay. Once you come to the mudari and you find a dhamma, if you find a dhamma or kasra If you find a dhamma or kasra in the mudari, it means that the madi was on fa'ala. If you see dhamma or kasra in the mudari, it means it was on fa'ala. Similar to the ajwaf. Remember the ajwaf, we said if you find a waw or ya in the mudari, it means that it's on fa'ala. But if you find a fatha in the ajwaf, we said if you find the alif yakhafu, it's on fa'ila. Similar thing here. So this is how you tell whether it's on fa'ala or fa'ila. If you see dhamma or kasra, it's on fa'ala. So this is madada and this is masasa. If you see fatha in the mudari, you know this is masisa. طيب. So we need to know this so we can go back to the mabni majhul. So mabni majhul madada. So it will be mudida. Farra furira. Massa musisa. Okay, so what happens now? Two letters of the same kind, two letters of the same kind, two letters of the same kind. We have to do idgham. How do we do idgham? We have to get this one to be sakin. So we get rid of this. We get rid of this. We get rid of this. So it becomes mudda. This becomes furra. This becomes mussa. That's how you get the madi. That's how you get the madi al-mabni lil-majhul. As for the mudari, then let's go to the mudari. So we said madda yamuddu. This is the end result after the changes have been applied. So yamuddu. Yamuddu, and we have yafirru, and we have yamassu. Okay. So this is fa'ala yaf'ulu. Fa'ala yaf'ilu. Fa'ila yaf'alu. So this is yaf'ulu. So if you was to put it back to its original setup, yaf'ulu would be yamdudu. Before the merging occurred, yamdudu. And this was yafriru. And this was yamsasu. Okay, let's start from here now. So we have two letters of the same kind, two letters of the same kind. We have to do idgham. We have to merge. So how do we merge? The first letter, we have to make it sakin. But in this case now, rather than take this dhamma and get rid of it completely, we make use of it. We recycle it by giving it to the letter before it. And likewise with this one, we recycle it by giving it to the letter before it. And this one, we recycle it by giving it to the letter before it. So whenever you're going to do idgham, you have to look at the letter before. If the letter before is sakin, just transfer it, naql. If the letter before it has a haraka, we're not in need of it, we get rid of it. We do hadf. So hadf or naql. Hadf is removing completely. Naql is transferring. So we do transfer if the letter before it is sakin. So it can hold it, we leave it there. So once we've transferred, this is sakin, then we can do idgham. So we have yamuddu. So it becomes yamuddu. Yafi, we've taken the ra, the kasra of the ra to the fa. Yafi. Yafirru. Yafirru. Yama, we've done naql. Yama. Yamassu. Yamassu. Okay, but we need to work with this one now for the mabni lil majhul. So we have here, let's say yumdadu, and here we have yufraru, and here we have yumsasu. Now we need to apply the same thing now. We have to do idgham. We have to do idgham. In order to do idgham, the first letter needs to be sakin. So we're going to do with this haraka. What we're going to do with these harakat, we're not going to throw them away, we're going to recycle them because the letter before them has a sukun. So it's going to be yuma, yumaddu, yufa, yufarru, yuma, yumassu. So we end up with yumaddu, yufarru, yumassu. So yumaddu, yufarru, yumassu. That's how we get the Mudari al-Mabni al-Majhul. Now the Ismul Fa'il. Ismul Fa'il, we put it on the scale of Fa'ilun. It will be Madidun, Farirun, Masisun. So Fa'ilun, Fa'ilun, Fa'ilun. Once again, we do idgham. How do we do idgham? The first of the two like letters has to be sakin. In this case, we can't transfer, even though this letter is sakin, it's not possible to transfer it to this letter, this alif. Alif will never hold a haraka. So recycling it is not possible, so we get rid of it. We get rid of this haraka, we get rid of it completely. Once we've got rid of the haraka, this is sakin, this is sakin, we can do idgham, so it becomes ma. Rather than write two separate letters, we write one with the shadda. Maddun, farun, masun. Okay, this is how we get the ismul fa'il. Ismul maf'ul is very simple, no changes whatsoever. It would be mam. Meme is the additional meme for the ismul maf'ul from the pattern, and the meme here is the fa'ul kalima. So mamdudun, maf'ulun, mamdudun, no changes. Mafrurun, mamsusun, because it was massa. Meme is the fa'ul kalima. Mamsusun, no changes whatsoever. Okay, so this is what we're going to be covering. The changes that affect the ajwaf in the Madi mabni majhul, in the Mudari al-mabni majhul, in the ism al-fa'il, in the ism al-maf'ul, and likewise the Narcas and the Mudaf. Barakallah fikum. This is our lesson for today. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta